Welcome to another episode of ExCEL with Gabrielle. I am your host, Gabrielle Jordan, and every Sunday at 7 p.m. I'll be giving motivational advice and entrepreneurial tips to entrepreneurs and leaders just like you. So make sure you go to our website, GabrielleJordanInspires.com/ExCEL. Subscribe to the ExCEL Youth Mentoring Institute. And don't forget to tell other people about this because I wouldn't want anybody to miss anything. On today's episode of ExCEL with Gabrielle, the adult interview that I have for you is Mr. Ramon Ray. He is a keynote speaker, entrepreneur, author, journalist, publisher of Smart Hustle magazine, and much, much more. Just as a note, in the interview, I continue to call him Raymond, but it's actually Ramon, so my apologies for that. So without further ado, let's jump into this interview with Mr. Ramon Ray. Welcome, Mr. Raymond.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me on ExCEL with Gabrielle. I'm very excited to get into this. So, to get started, I think the first question I want to ask you is to share with us everything that you do. Because I was on your website and I was looking at your bio, I was looking at all the things that you do, and it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of amazing things. So can you kind of go through some of the things that you do, and then as we go throughout the interview, we'll kind of ask some more questions on some of the topics. So
sure. So first and foremost, to make it simple, I'm an educator or a teacher. Yeah. And I educate small business owners and entrepreneurs how to grow their businesses. That's overall what I do. So I'm not an accountant. I don't help people with numbers. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fisherman. I don't go on the lake and catch, bass or something. Right. I'm not a skier. I'm an educator, a teacher. So that's first and foremost what I do. I educate small businesses. Okay. How do I do that? Which could look like a lot of different things, but I do that through my conferences that I produce. I have an upcoming Smart Hustle conference in the fall. The books that I've written, as you may have seen, I'm a best-selling author. Yes. Through the many speeches I give. We've connected that through your colleagues and through your team. Yes. So that's how I do it, through a number of speaking, through my writing, my freelance writing. I've written 11,000 or so articles on a variety of sites. So that's how I do it. Yeah. And then how I make my revenue, which is kind of important because people, well, how do you make a living? Well, that through the publishing world, there's large vendors who want to reach that audience. Yes. So imagine the Microsofts and AT&Ts and all these great companies. Yes, they can spend money on advertising, but they also have a budget set aside. Wow, Ramon's reaching 10,000 people, or Ramon's doing a conference in Los Angeles with 1,000 people. How can we be a part of that? So that's in a nutshell what I do. Was that a good explanation?
Yeah, that was a perfect explanation. That really that was very clear.
Good.
So, since you kind of gave us a little bit, some of the things that I'm actually going to talk to you about today, the first thing is about your entrepreneurship. I know you're really into tech and things like that, but can you first start by telling us about maybe the first company that you started, or how you were introduced into the entrepreneurship field?
Sure, and I have indeed, you're right, Gab, and it's Gabrielle, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you're right, Gabrielle. I have indeed been kind of a tech head, a nerd, for many years. I started off, I'm the type of person who took apart a Teddy Ruxpin. That's kind of like the Elmo of today, I guess. Yes, it was late in the 70s or so. So take that apart. I'm the type of person who sprayed lighter fluid on my walls of my home to see really would it burn. So I've always had a tech experimental background. So yes, that is correct. And one of the first companies I started was Family Computer Consulting Services. Very ugly yellow and red business cards that I put together. But like you're doing, we're entrepreneurs. I launched. Seth Godin said I did it. Yes. So that was one of my first companies. It was a technology consulting company. And fast forwarding today, unless you want me to tell the journey in between, but I'm still a techie. I still love tech. I'm like a little mini Radio Shack in my home here. But I'm really more focused on entrepreneurship. My passion now is really about the journey. Who are the small business owners or entrepreneurs growing their business? Still techie, if you know what I mean. Yeah, but the slant is really, I love doing what you're doing, in fact. I love interviewing people about their passions. Yeah. So.
And I know as I was looking, kind of doing some research on you, I saw that you started around 4 companies and you sold one, sold a company as well, which is a great accomplishment. And so I was wondering a little bit about, the tech side again. Do you do anything with STEM? Because I love technology and science, but do you tend to work with, like, in the STEM area at all, or?
Sure. So not directly, but I would say indirectly. So, for example, through mentorship, I mentor, there's an organization called Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. I think it's Network. You may know them, Nifty.
Yeah, Nifty.
What's that?
Yeah, Nifty.
Right. And then there's another group called, I forgot the name of the group, but they were on 60 Minutes. But my point is, through mentorship, yes, I mentor a lot of youth, a lot of young people in not necessarily science, not necessarily math, things like this, but yes, through the techie background, it touches that. So I wouldn't say I'm the STEM guy.
Right.
No. But
I ask that just because I like to see, I like to see, mentorship in certain areas, even with young people and adults being mentees, being mentors. So I like to kind of ask that to see if, you're doing anything in mentorship. And I did actually see that you do a lot with mentorship.
Right.
And as at the end of the episode, you'll be able to list, how they can find you, check out your website.
Yeah, sure.
So they'll be able to see everything that you are doing. So moving on, you are also a speaker, a global speaker. So you are a very accomplished speaker. So what would you say is your message? If someone was to hire you, what would be your message you would share?
Yeah, I would say, especially if they're hiring me to speak. So I don't do consulting. So that's pretty much, besides a large brands working with us to reach our, the small business audience, if it's Ramon Ray, pretty much the only thing I'm hired for as an individual is my speaking. So I would say that, listen, Gabrielle, there's a billion speakers around.
Yes.
For that matter, there's a billion podcasters and journalists like we are around. But there's only one Gabrielle who has her image and how she does things, one Ramon. So I think that if you're looking for what is the special sauce Ramon brings different, I think it's probably three things. With what I've been told. So it's not just me spouting off. But I think one, it's a full level, 110% excitement. When I hit the stage, it's an experience. Two, part of that, it's a lot of fun. And I think three, one thing I specialize is really off the cuff. That doesn't mean Gabrielle is 100% right. That doesn't mean I'm thinking, but meaning if you say, Ramon, what are the properties of vitamin water? Ramon, why do you like this pen?
Right.
I'm going to have something to tell you. So those are three things that make me different. When I hit that stage, your audience will have fun. They're going to laugh. They're going to be informed.
Very cool. And do you think, like, when you are speaking, do you talk a lot more about entrepreneurship, or is there something that you kind of like to talk about more, or is there something that you kind of have a very strong passion for when you're speaking?
Sure. Usually it's two or three things. The bedrock of what I talk about is probably sales and marketing, because that's what I have my strength in. So, some people can talk about numbers. Some people can talk about hiring, leadership. There's all kind of various different good things that people can talk about. Right. But I think the really thing that I focus on is probably more so the sales and marketing side, how you can do guerrilla marketing, how you can use social media better. One of my popular topics is called Attract, Sell, Wow. So it's usually how to have a better sales side. Now, I do touch on tech, but I touch on it in the context, not in the geek sense.
Right.
But more so tech in the context of how it can help you grow your business.
Right, which is very, very important.
Yeah.
And so moving to how you're a writer. So you're a best-selling author, journalist, a very successful journalist. I saw that you have written thousands of articles for very high-profile, magazines like...
Yeah.
What is it?
Black Enterprise Inc. magazine.
Yeah, Inc. Things like that, and that's amazing. But you also started a magazine. And when did you start this magazine again?
So Smart Hustle magazine is about 3 years old, give or take. Sometimes it feels like it's 20 years old, but it's only 3 years old. So, yeah. So
Smart Hustle. Why did you start this, and what is it really about?
Gabrielle, that is a great question. So. I've been known for many years as, 20 years or so. I started my first domain name in April 1999, so whatever map that is. But I've been known as the technology evangelist, and I am. On the smallbiztechnology.com side, I'm the technology evangelist, and I still wear that mantle to a degree. Yeah. But, Gabrielle, I was seeing that in the market, there was a lot of magazines covering, Slack, Uber, if you look at Fast Company magazine, great magazine by Mansueto Ventures. So it's not dinging them, just the fact, they'll have Obama on one cover, Steve Jobs on the other cover, then Obama on the other cover, then Mark Zuckerberg on the other cover. And I was saying, this is nice, but who's covering me? Who's covering those of us in the grind, in the hustle?
Right.
Who's covering the person who's building a new pair of jeans? Mm-hmm. My friend Camilo Love, I interviewed him yesterday. So my point, Gabrielle, is that's why I started it. I was saying, you know what? Let me see what I can do to start a new venture and to cover the journey of entrepreneurship. So it's a startup. It's I'm investing my own money into it. Those are code words for a lot of things, but right. I'll just leave it at that right now. But I'm investing my own money into it. Yeah. But I have a vision, and I have no doubt that by the end of the year, cash flow positive, and we're on a track to grow to reach about 100,000 readers. And so that's why I started it. I really wanted to. I wanted to expand beyond what I was doing, and I love interviewing people. I love hearing stories.
And I think it's a really great concept for a magazine because, I think people being able to see other startup companies or other companies that are growing and developing and learning from these people, how are they doing this? How are they growing? I think that's a really, really great concept. And I am going to be subscribing to it as well, the online magazine, because I want to check that out because that seems like a really good platform for people, especially young entrepreneurs, because a lot of my viewers are young, and to be able to see some entrepreneurs that are getting and growing and hustling, I think that's a really great concept. So one of the questions that I ask all of my guests is, what piece of advice would you give to a young person that wants to grow and be successful in their respective fields?
Yeah, and I think that's a big question, a very smart question. And some of the advice, of course, goes to old people too. But I think one is definitely to listen to those around you. That doesn't mean they're always right, in the entrepreneurial sense, meaning, always listen to your parents. But the point is meaning listen to those around you because they're, if you're 15, 16, 18, 21, whatever age young is, those who are 10 years older than you, 20 years older than you, they've screwed up, messed up, cried, been successful. So, as you're going down this path, they said there's no bridge there. Let me stop and go this way so I don't kill myself. So that's one. Listen to those around you. And that goes with mentorship, have a board of advisors, the whole shebang of getting advice from others.
Yeah, and I love that you kind of touched on mentorship there because mentorship is very, very important even for young and older people because to be able to learn from the people that know more or can share with you, what you need to know. So I think that's a really great piece of advice, especially for young people that are
absolutely. And then I think two more things I would add is that as you're young, and especially if you're in a position of relying still on parents or other things that young people, if you're in the education track still and not having to be totally independent, then I would say point two, leverage that and go launch stuff. If you always wanted to run a bowling alley, that might take a little bit of investment. But intern at the bowling alley, since you don't have the burden of rent unless you do. But let's say you're a little bit younger, you could intern at the bowling alley that summer, see if you can get your first promotion. Now you know what it takes to run a bowling alley. So my point is, explore, launch while you can, and you don't have to worry about IRS or feeding kids or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that kind of that initiative to get started. I like that. So to finish off, where can people find you? Where can they check you out? Maybe follow you. You have Instagram, Facebook, website.
No, if you plug me into any search engine, Ramon Ray, that's probably the fastest way. But definitely, I'd love people, please, to check out smarthustle.com.
Yes, perfect. And the links, we'll put all the links to everything down below so that they can click and go directly to you. But thank you so much, Mr. Ramon, for joining me today. Great interview. I learned a lot from you. So I hope that we'll probably be in contact again, hopefully working together, because I think your message is very great and very important for both young and old. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of ExCEL with Gabrielle. I hope that you enjoyed this interview with Mr. Ramon Ray. Make sure to go in the description down below and check out his information and his publication, Smart Money Magazine. Don't forget to go to my website, GabrielleJordanInspires.com/ExCEL. Subscribe to the ExCEL Youth Mentoring Institute. And you can watch some past interviews with young entrepreneurs and adult entrepreneurs. You can also email me at ExCEL@GabrielleJordanInspires.com to send me any questions, comments, or concerns that you'd like me to discuss in my next video. And I hope that you'll join me next Sunday at 7 p.m. to learn, grow, and excel with Gabrielle. See ya!